Hello everyone, Sunset2, welcome to another Modpack review, this time on Survival Pack Adventure. Now there is going to be two. There's specifically the Adventure one, which I've already released, and the Tech one still on the works, which was eventually my sort of all-encompassing 115 sort of pack, and then I eventually split them off because there was just so many types of mods that I wanted to go and combine, so yeah, they're now split off into two packs, one adventure, one tech, or whatever they're calling it. So for the adventure one, there's obviously a focus on pretty much the core mods that you would typically get, and certain other things like exploration, biomes, dungeons, and a few other bits and pieces on the side. So yeah, if you want the mod list, right here, it is quite big though, as well as even the other one is quite big. So even with splitting them up, yeah, it's a lot larger than my usual packs, but then again I think most of it's made up of certain quality of life or certain tweak ones, so it's not too bad. But yeah, so we'll take a look through the content first, and we'll look at some of the other stuff after. So first up we have Alfredo's Titan Bows, which just adds in additional bow types as well as arrows. Obviously the arrows are suited towards each bow, I'm pretty sure. You can't use them on a regular bow, and you can't use a Titan bow with regular arrows, I don't think. Otherwise you've got things like presents, you've got present factory engage if you want to create some of those, and they'll drop bows and arrows and certain things, I think. So that's. You've got another gun mod, which adds in a pistol as well as in certain rifles and magazines and certain bits and pieces. You've got Aqua for adding in additional mobs such as a killer whale, jellyfish, narwhal, manta ray, and more, so a bit more to the ocean. You've got aquatic armors for adding in additional prismarine and additional armor options. Got Bad Beacon to add in negative effects for beacons, and you also use the opposite blocks you typically would for a beacon. So you use coal, lapis, redstone, and something else. I don't know what the other one is. Quartz. In comparison to the main ones that you get, which this opposite one is Shroud, which is for mobs to have certain effects to them, whilst this one's for negative effects to players. So yeah. I guess this one could be useful for maybe like certain traps or certain other additional things, where you just want to have negative effects and have a challenge maybe. Whilst this one's more for harming mobs in certain ways of being slow, having nausea, making them have blindness so they're harder to hit, throw a projectile of some sort, like a trident or fire arrows, and other bits and pieces. So yeah. Otherwise, we've got Better Creatures Reforged, which adds in a ton of different fantasy or somewhat other type of animal creatures in here that you'll probably come across. Otherwise, there's a few tools and armor. You've got Bound Totems, which adds in another totem which you can do a bit with. You've got, let's see, Cavern Miner, which adds in a new dimension. There's obviously some additional enchantments which I forgot about, certain other tools, some mobs and so on. There's also the camel mod, so don't forget, which adds in a camel, which I think is similar to a llama or horse in a way. You've got coloured lanterns if you want something for the building options. You've got construction one for also assisting with building. You've got crocodile mod for additional mobs. You've got cut and coloured for additional building options, as well as additional blocks such as the glass cutter, so a sawmill and a weaver. So if you want differences of wool, glass, or wood, you've got that as an option. For building. Let's see, we've got Dungeons and Artifacts, which adds in additional mobs, as well as dungeons and a few other things. I can't see them in /locate, so I'm not too sure. But yeah. You've got Dynamical Compass, which adds in a new compass, which is useful for certain additional benefits. I have to remember though, you can lock its position, I think, if I remember correctly, and just set it to a specific position in the world. Unlike regular compass, which just sets it to where your world spawn was. Got enchant with mob, which pretty much provides a shield for other mobs. It's obviously based on the mob in Minecraft Dungeons. You've got enchanted wolves for additional enchantments for wolves. You've got obviously some collars as well. You've got Ever Potion for adding in potion effects that you can pretty much use at any time, I'm pretty sure. Except for the fact that obviously they do have certain recipes, we just need lingering and a potion and such. You can't access the slot upgrades because there's no recipes for them, so if you want to tweak them with Craft Tweaker and add in that mod to do things, you can. I'm just going to leave them blank. And otherwise you've just got a menu that you can use to select either of them. But yeah, the slot upgrades are obviously useful to access more slots, so you can use more of these or have more effects that are accessible via the menu. We've got Extended Furnace, which adds in additional upgrades and a new furnace. So you can store XP, needs power, a few other things. I don't think I did the power part. I might need to change that because I forgot that it needs power. I'll add a generate mod or something. You've got extra boats for adding in different variations of wood for boats, but also the boats having a chest, a furnace, or multiple passengers. You've got extra reeds for adding in the ability to get different resources from sugarcane. You've got extra weapons for additional tools and weapons, like so. There's a bunch of different options there. You've got Guardcraft for adding in some guards to obviously help you fight alongside you, so any that are good at melee or projectiles can assist. Great Array of Ender for finding structures. You've got Gadgets for adding in additional certain stuff that can help. So with what time it is, what biome, depth, and a personal compass. You've got Hexic Gear. Obviously you've got the additional tiers as well as the Hexical Diamond in Essence and the Hexabiscus flower that just appears in the world. So these have different abilities. You've got Horse Tack, adding in additional aspects to horses rather than just horse armor. You've got Jellyfish for adding in a new biome as well as additional other things like food and so on. You've got Kaboom for additional bombs. You've got Cooper's Creatures for additional animals. You've got loot vases for additional loot, as well as the ability for a spawner to appear if you find a spawning structure, if you find a haunted vase, I think, or you just find it in the world normally, I'm not sure. I have to remember back. Let's see, we've got still more from loot vases. You've got status boots for adding in additional boots with effects. You've got mechanical bosses for another boss. You've got Mermaid Tail for obviously adding in an additional tail and necklace. You've got more plants for adding in additional plant types. You've got Never Break as an enchantment for your tools. You've got Never Needed or Wanted for adding in additional resources, tools, certain things for villages, traps, and more. I was sort of questioning if I wanted to add this one in, but with the additional blocks and certain other things like the lava well and cobble generator, it sort of seems suitable, and it's not too tech focused, so just additional stuff there that could be useful. You've got Other Stone Pickaxe, which adds in other variations of pickaxes in either prismarine stone, end stone, andesite, diorite, granite, as well as certain other foods. You've got potion bundles for bundling potions. You've got Quiver Restoration as a storage of your arrows. You've got Resource Overhaul for additional tools and armor and resources and chicken nuggets and certain other things. If you want a bit more in that area. You've got Rise of Anthropods, which adds in tools and armor as well as 2 new spiders, along with the other stuff with the regular overworld spider. We've got Sandbag as a way of pretty much telling how much damage you're doing. except obviously if you're in creative you're going to easily destroy it, but if you wanted to find out how much damage something does, you can tell that way, even with enchantments and all those on. You've got scuba gear for making it easier to swim, as well as obviously adding additional aspects to them. You've got Seeker Compass for adding in new enchantments, as well as a compass for seeking mobs and other things. You've got Shrouds, which we've covered, which is obviously a mob affected beacon that's obviously useful to you. You've got Simple Ostriches for an additional mob that spawns in savannas or deserts, usual savannas. Storage Heaven for adding in backpacks. Storage Overhaul for storage, barrels, shulker boxes, minecarts, and chests, so if you need additional storage, you've got that. And then you've got Survive for pretty much adding in temperature and a few other aspects to change up the world a bit. So you obviously have to combat heat, as well as use enchantments maybe, or the wool armor, or drink water a lot more, and this, that, and the other. You've got sword displays for adding in additional display cases for swords. Tiger editions for adding in a few additional aspects to tiger biomes, like certain bears, or certain drops, or certain plants. Tea and a few other things. You've got the Corgi mod for adding in additional corgis, just as additional mobs. The Own Way, which adds in flint as well as some vegetable casseroles, but also a lot of other certain tweaks. So yeah. And then you've got tool variations, which pretty much adds in the ability for you to have additional types of materials as well for tools. As it's not the 1.16 version, there's no like warped and otherwise certain stuff there, but yeah, so there is different sticks, as you can see, so acacia and jungle sticks as well. You've got vanillities for adding in additional survival aspects. You've got posts, and you've got villages to save and certain other things. Wandering Trader improvements, which adds in additional potions and a few changes to Wandering Trader trades. You've got Wandering Trapper for additional mob, as well as trading and some pelts and some of the other. Obviously you can add a bit more to those if you want. You've got warps and clones for adding in sort of useful teleportation, but for like getting away from mobs sort of thing. You've got Witherhoe for adding in flight, as well as certain other wither capabilities. And then you've got Mob Souls for having abilities of certain mobs, I'm pretty sure, within item form. And that's pretty much it for that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it in that sort of way. We take a look at the mod list, of course. You've got certain others, obviously, to not update, because it might have a fabric version download. So clean cut for cutting through grass. And if you're using a vanilla map, then it'll have a tooltip. Otherwise, what else is there? There's a armor status thing. If you saw on the left, obviously, there was the armor slots on the side, which will appear in pretty much any other inventory now, not just your regular one. Let's see, you've got locations of chests, making it easier. You've got the amount of chests that you've pretty much come across before, so it'll tell you if you've got stuff still in this chest or if you visited it. Ore smelting on a campfire. Explosions pretty much fixing themselves. Extension of bone meal for crops. Changing horses models, which also works in with horse tack. And a few other things like horse armor recipes and changes to undead horses and additional sword sort of thing. Light overlays, as well as certain other information on tools and so on. And obviously there's a bunch of other stuff for locating biomes and other such stuff. So quite a lot. Obviously stuff I've all covered before, that makes the adventure type mod pack possible. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.